All right, let's call the meeting to order today at 6:00 p.m. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Aaron Moran.
Here.
Chris Zellner.
Here.
Joe Zisselsberger.
Here.
Kristen Runge.
Here.
Nyla Fry.
Here.
Jack Heineman.
Here.
And Sam Kaufman.
Here.
Excellent. Next is confirmation of open meeting compliance.
And I can confirm that the draft agenda was published in the Waunakee Tribune on 10/31. The final agenda was posted in all three official posting locations on 10/30. And the final agenda and packet were made available online on 10/30 as well. Two important notices for the audience. Please be sure you've signed in for accurate record keeping with your name, address, and municipality. And then those interested in participating in public comment should turn in a form, and I have 3 of them.
All right. And we're going to do public comment kind of in 2 waves. Before we go to public comment about the budget, Renee has some material that she'd like to present. So we'll present that material. And then if you have a public comment about the budget, we'll wait till after that, but public comment's still the same. So do we have anyone that's presenting or commenting on something other than the budget?
We have one person that's doing 2 different things. So do you want to take them after the presentation or do you want to do them before? They're budget and something else.
Okay. All right. That's a good question. Why don't
Wanna
we have
go through
Renee
the
go
present-
first? Pardon, more budget? Yours is more budget? Okay. Okay.
Should we have?
We'll have Renee go first then. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna do just a little brief update. Sure, turn that on. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of update since our last meeting, some pieces of information that I have received. Well, first, in the process, we're now in the public hearing phase. This is our additional non-required public hearing, which is technically public comment that is on tonight's agenda. And then our final piece will be the formal public hearing on November 17th. And then following that, the board will consider final budget approval. So last time we had a number of unknowns. We did get some information. So last week, October 30th, we did get the final assessed valuation. And luckily it was very close to what I had estimated. So it doesn't make any, really, it's a negligible change in the calculations that I showed you last time. We also got 2 of our 3 levies from the other jurisdictions. MATC, their levy increased 4.24%, and Waunakee Schools was received. These both came in on Friday, I believe. Theirs is an increase of 6.56%. So we factor those in when we do the full mill rate. I'm expecting the county levy will come in early to mid-November, right around the same time as we adopt our budget. So this slide didn't change at all. The numbers from the last presentation. We will, after tonight, if we get any additional feedback from the board, we will revisit any numbers that are needed and finish up the changes from open enrollment. One piece that did kind of change on here, once I had the final assessed values, the assessed value for the average home in Waunakee is $579,309. They're kind of in the middle of the page at the bottom. I had done an estimate at the last meeting, and so this is the average that we have normally, I calculate it the same way we normally do with the final numbers. So then I backed into the 2024 number because the average increase in Waunakee was 24% due to the revaluation. So the tax, it's just slightly different for that average home. At last time it was $102 increase. Now it's down to $99 with the budget as it is right now. Just a reminder of the rule of thumb, when we do make changes, 10,000 up or down, changes the tax rate slightly, or would change the dollars for the average home by about $2. So that's all I had in terms of presentation. And there is an agenda item later where you'll be able to discuss anything that is brought up at public comment.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thanks for the update before public comment. It's really appreciated. All right, with that, Carla.
The first one is Clint Scharf at 804 Turnberry. Yeah, it should be free.
Yep, okay. I'm 73. Lived here for the last 22 years. I got my first tax bill, it was $3,700. Last year, it was $7,600. That's triple. I'm not sure why the school is looking for more money, seeing how there is a situation where us old folks are staying in our homes longer and your population is declining. The numbers that you had up there on the value of the house being in 500,000, it was interesting in my conversation with the individual that did the reassessment. He did it on last year's races where they were at the top. Prices now are coming down, and they're coming down rapidly. So, A, the prices should be adjusted to where they are now. Therefore, for us to get an increase of over $1,000 per property tally, and that they want an 8.7% increase from 2025. I don't think that the city needs to grow any bigger. I know that there were comments in there by Mr. Schmidt. I don't think Chris Zeller, we had that issue many years ago, Chris, you remember, with Mr. Wall. And, you know, I'm kind of upset as a person who lives in this city that the taxes are continuing to go up. I'm not sure why you need the new facility for the snow plows and all that other stuff. Yeah, it's nice to live in a good city like that, but if you're going to put your money somewhere, I think for the most part, it should be giving us a tax break at the end of the money that you accumulate and that you don't spend. It should be given back to the taxpayer at the end. That's all I have.
Thanks for taking the time to come out and make a comment.
Next up is Bernard Van Alstine at 202 East 3rd Street, Waunakee.
I'm new.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
I'm not used to speaking.
There's a button on there with the little turn green.
All right, now you can hear me better? Okay. I said I'm not too used to talking to a crowd, and so bear with me a little bit. I've been living in Waunakee since 1957, probably older than a lot of you here. I live at 202 East 3rd Street. My neighbor, Lester Miller, lives at 204. When we moved here, there was a alleyway behind our house that stretched all the way from South Street between the church and the school. And it went right past our backyard over to the cemetery fence and emptied out on Third Street. In 1960, when they built the Catholic school, that right of way was taken away, the middle of it was taken away, observed up by the building of the school. The entrance is still there. The exit was still there. Since that time, 1960, and even a little bit before that, I've been mowing that right away, seeing how they did away with it. They weren't using it anymore. I've been mowing it, taking care of it. My neighbor's done the same thing. I don't know if you know where Lester Miller used to live, right next to the graveyard, but he has a beautiful lawn. They want to put a fence up now. St. John's do, which I've always said would be great because cars come through there on their right of way there at a good speed sometimes. But they want to put a fence up, and I happened to be out and was talking to Father Joe, I think his name is. He introduced himself to me. He wasn't even here when I was here as a kid. He said he wanted to. First thing I heard him say, well, we're going to have to trim them apple trees, and those apple trees are mine. And I asked him, I said, I believe those apple trees are on my property or they're on the right of way. I said, they don't belong to you. He says, oh, yes, they do. We own that property. And I have found out that somehow either the village okayed them to have them, that strip of land behind my house and my neighbor's house. That's the only strip of land left of that right of way, except for which comes down the cemetery fence, but there's no outlet there anymore. I'm coming to the village board and ask them, do they own it? Did you give it to them? Did they buy it or what?
We will have someone answer that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but right now I don't know that any of us have the answer,
Mhm.
but thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Next up is Robert McPherson at 1703 Alexandria Court, Waunakee.
Good afternoon or good evening. Sun's down now. I'm here as I promised last week. I'm coming back, or last meeting, coming back again to continue to talk about housing in the village. Heard some issues about taxes. Housing is very much tied into that. I brought with me a visual aid tonight. If you don't have this as a trustee, please ask for a copy from the village. It came from Dane County last year. I'm going to reference it multiple times in my comments here in the next 2 minutes. So since this is the budget meeting, public hearing for that, I just want to point out that we spend more money sometimes on things that we enjoy doing one day a year than we've spent on affordable housing within this village, it's a travesty. So let's talk about the strategies that are in here in my 2 minutes. It's going to be every meeting I'm here. We're going to talk a little bit, 3 minutes at a time. Strategy 1, increase funding for housing and affordable housing initiatives. You're talking about your budget tonight. You can still find some money for that. Strategy 2, use TIF and incentivize TIF so that it can be utilized for affordable housing and housing within the village. Strategy 4, make housing a priority in your comprehensive plan. Public hasn't really heard about the comprehensive plan since the survey that took place over the summer. The website is a little not updated right now. We don't know if it's going to be a comprehensive plan, but included within that, not just comprehensive plan, funding for studying zoning amendments, funding for educating on zoning reform, especially educating your elected officials, funding for streamlining permits, and then funding for studying, understanding, and writing legislation to eliminate minimum lot sizes, reduce setbacks as far as you can, and eliminate your parking minimums. Strategy 6, identify a housing champion within your municipality. I don't know that we necessarily have one right now, but we could officially have one. You could even fund it a little bit. Strategy 15, funding education and support for first-time home buyers. This is something that some trustees have actually talked about when I was back on the board. We could have programs in place that allow people to get information about being a first-time home buyer in the village and what it takes. Granted, you're not going to be a first-time home buyer in the village with our average price being over 500,000 unless you're making a significant amount of money, but any education is helpful. The point I'm making with all of this, you can use your budget to start solving this problem of housing. School enrollment's declining. The share of taxes to the schools are going to go up because unfortunately that's how the state funding works for schools. But if you have a reasonable approach to housing, if you make more housing available to people within the village, it will stabilize your tax base. It'll invite more businesses. Businesses can have people work for them, and then you can have taxes that come from businesses instead of residential. So again, until your next meeting, I'll see you then.
Thanks, Robert. All right, anyone else?
That's all I have.
Anyone online? If you're online and you'd like to make a comment, you can raise your hand and we'll bring you into the meeting. No takers online?
No.
All right, with that, then we shall move on. Consent agenda, and I believe we have one thing. to
Yes,
pull-
I would like to pull item number 4, please.
All right, do we have anything else we'd like pulled from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the remaining items?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 4.
Approved levy limit worksheet adjustment resolution, and I just wanted Renee to provide some information for that. I believe this is the first time that this has occurred that we can use it. So I thought everyone could use the general explanation. Thank you.
Thanks, Nyla. As Nyla said, this is the first time, at least since I've been here, that we've been able to try to utilize this levy limit adjustment. What it is if we're a member of the fire district, we're also a member of the EMS, but we can't do it for EMS this year, and I'll explain that in a second. So if you're a member of a joint fire or EMS district and the increase in that entity's budget is less than the consumer price index plus 2%, which for this year, that's 4.7%. If the increase on that budget is less than that, then we can potentially take this levy limit adjustment. And the fire district's assessment increase was only 4.02%. So we met the first criteria that we can see if we can take this adjustment. And what this adjustment does is, we operate under levy limits. And right now we use our debt service as a kind of what I call a cushion so we can levy a little bit more than that because you're allowed to for debt service. If we use this adjustment, we use less of our debt service toward that. So it doesn't change our levy. It just lets us have a little more cushion for the future if we can take this adjustment. So I went to the fire district meeting last Monday and I talked with the fire board about this because in order for us to do it or any other members to do it, all 4 of our entities have to adopt this resolution. And so I talked to them about it. They all seemed willing to bring it back to their boards. I know a couple of them are already on the agenda tonight, like ours. And it really just has to be done by December 15th when I have to file the worksheet. So I'm hopeful all of them will adopt it and then we can, it equates to about 42,000. So I'll shift that from the debt part of the levy limit worksheet to this other line. And again, that just preserves some of our debt levy for the future. As we talked about, eventually we'll have to start maximizing that as we continue to grow. So I put it on consent because I think it's a no-brainer for us. But thanks for Nyla for letting me explain it. And I'm happy to answer any questions about it as well.
Thanks, Renee.
All right, do we have any questions about it?
Why are we not able to do that for EMS?
Oh, sorry. EMS, the assessment increase was, I want to say at least 9 or 10%. It was a pretty high increase. Maybe Sam even knows.
It was about 10.
And so, pardon? Okay. So it's higher than that 4.7%, so we cannot do it for EMS.
All right.
But I do check it every year in case.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one. If the structure of the fire department changes, does this still remain in place or?
If so this is a annual adjustment, so we can take it
So
this
it's only
year.
for this year?
It's just for this
Okay.
year. So if the structure changes, it might, it's going to change our levy limit worksheet in
Sure.
a few other ways. So this is just a one-time. Every year you'd have to readopt this.
Okay, perfect.
And only eligible for communities within a joint department, right?
Correct. So if it was no longer joint, yeah, this definitely wouldn't be available to us.
All right. Yep, please. go
I
ahead.
move to approve resolution approving levy limit adjustment in section D, line 1.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is reports and announcements. And for that, let's go to Wannaboom Committee.
Sure, we just had a recent one 2 weeks ago,
So,
roughly, and it was just really looking at different bands, contracts for the different things, stage, electronics, fireworks, all of that, and the fundraising that we're beginning to do
excellent. For the 250th
for the 250th, yes,
anniversary. We're just gonna keep repeating that.
and 10-year anniversary.
And the 10-year anniversary of Wannaboom. Nice that the country organized that so that we work together. Joint Review Board. Do we have any report from Joint Review Board? No? All right.
With the joint review board met, it's a required annual meeting. Ellers provided a report on each of the TIF districts' progress, successes, challenges, and the members of the joint review board were there and received that. I don't know if they took action to it.
The action is just to accept the annual reports or something of that nature. It's just a Department of Revenue requirement, so.
I would know, we do though, record those meetings. Obviously TIF can be really a confusing subject. And what I like about those meetings is we spend a moment on every district, explain its purpose, its current condition, and the financial sunset that's expected based on current conditions. So it's a really good way if people are willing to take an hour out of their day to hear that presentation. It'd be worth it. We have it up on our website.
Yeah. You did a really great job too of working with Ellers to explain what's happening with each one of the TIDs. So it is really a very informative meeting. So thanks for the report. I made eye contact with you immediately.
You did.
You took off. So thank you for doing that. Community Development Authority met. We welcomed a new member, Catherine Burke, who's going to be an excellent addition. She has a background in a number of subjects related to housing. So very excited to have her on board. We made some changes to the Waunakee Housing Betterment Fund. We are kind of constantly trying to improve that to make it both more accessible and more useful to people within the village. If you think that you might qualify or be on the edge of qualifying for home repairs through the Waunakee Housing Betterment Fund, please do reach out to us. We're trying to promote that as much as possible to make sure that people have access and are aware of that funding in order to make needed repairs to their homes. We discussed a down payment assistance program in a community land trust. I had a really healthy discussion. Quite a number of us went to the Midwest Area Community Land Trust Conference that was held in Madison earlier in October and got just a wealth of information. We have decided in November that we're going to do a visioning and strategy meeting, thanks to Jack's suggestion, and a long discussion about making sure that we're really intentional with the dollars that we have coming in, which is really important because we did vote to extend TID number 5. And that is getting us to the point where we do have a pot of money that's available to do something significant like a down payment assistance or a land trust that will help us address at scale housing affordability across the community. Jack, did you have anything you wanted to add to that meeting?
You did a very fine job.
Thank you. Thank you. Waunakee Area Fire District, Nyla.
The fire committee met last Monday night and we went over the budget, the expenditures and bills. We talked about who to have for the attorney for the fire district if and when it's needed for the process that the village and other municipalities are working through pertaining to the fire district. And the attorney that they have decided that they would have is Dan Riffle. He's a well-known attorney and has worked on some major situations within fire districts, so he's pretty well seasoned. And that was pretty much it. Thanks. Stan, yeah.
All right, and Waunakee Utilities Commission.
Met last week. We got updates on a whole lot of things, including the new well 6, which is now done being drilled. A building and water tower to come yet. We approved an updated job description for the electric superintendent position, approved an engineering services contract for an electrical system analysis and coordination. And most importantly, probably, we approved the capital budget. The operating budget will come up in November, as well as a presentation from the MMSD director.
Thank you. Do we have any other committees? All right, seeing none, any other announcements? All right, one of the things that I'll add is if you've been following the news lately, you know that SNAP dollars have ended or are in jeopardy of not being continually funded. If you have the opportunity, call the food bank, check with your neighbors to make sure if anybody's in need that they are able to get the food that they need to make it through the next couple of months. So with that,
Another announcement, Kristen?
yes, please.
Just a note that you might notice if you pulled up to Village Hall well during the day, the Ho-Chunk flag is flying in front of Village Hall. We
Yeah.
do that annually in recognition of Native American Heritage Month, which is celebrated nationally. So I think it's maybe our 3rd year that we've flown the flag, and we also do have those the Ho-Chunk kiosks that we completed, the 3 big banners that we partnered with the Ho-Chunk Museum to prepare these informational kiosks. They're on display at the library now. And after this month, we'll be providing them as a gift to the Ho-Chunk Museum that they can then provide to other organizations throughout the state.
Thank you very much, Todd. Yeah. All right, any other announcements? All right, seeing none, let's move to our business items. Item number 1, discuss and take action on proposed 2026 operating and capital improvement budget.
So I don't really have anything to add. This is just on here in case you wanted to discuss anything that you'd want me to work on for our next meeting. So
All right,
I didn't have anything formally planned.
so with that, let's go around the room. Erin, can we start with you?
You can. I don't have anything right now.
All right, Sam?
Don't either.
All right, Chris?
Nothing at this time.
All right, Jack?
I would, we got a request from the community band for a stipend. And I would recommend that we put that into our operating budget.
All right.
Well-
How much did they request?
3,000.
1,000, okay.
Yeah, I'd note that they requested 3,000 as an annual ongoing stipend. And that is, if your suggestion is to include that, that's
One year.
fine. The one thing I would share that we haven't done is, as you know, we worked hard to bring the budget in at as best we could at a point that we thought was responsible yet conservative. I forgot the wording that we used. But we did go across all departments, taking their first crack at their departmental budget and asked all of them to make a variety of cuts that they felt they could absorb. What we haven't done is necessarily showed you, the village board, what we would do if you were willing to allot the departments any additional dollars. I'm a fan of the community band. Don't get me wrong. They have been a long-time mainstay in the community. And if there's a chance to support them, I'd enjoy that opportunity. I know that my departments would also enjoy the opportunity to suggest to you what they would do with an additional $3,000. So I'm willing to have that conversation and present that information to you so you can weigh it with what are also non-village departmental requests. So I just want to put that out there. Jack, the other option is if you wanted to help the band, say, in their 2026 budget year, as opposed to making a ongoing operating budget commitment, you do have the discretion of fund balance on hand. And when we do consider one-time expenses, one thought might be to allocate a one-time support. I know we did that last year for
Waunakee.
Waunakee had a
One time.
one-time request for some support for their program in 25, which you supported. So that is another option to consider, a one-year support utilizing fund balance. So that's another option.
I guess what I would do is a one-time support, and it gives them a year to go out and fundraise and get things organized. I think Jan Tweed recently stepped down, so giving them the opportunity to develop a plan for future. But I would recommend a one-time.
We can present it that way. I don't know, Kristen, if you want to see if there's support amongst the board, then we can bring a modification to the budget that you see.
Do we know and I'm not recalling the details of the letter for Bully, have they applied? Do we know if they've applied to the Community Foundation or the Andrews Foundation for support? Oftentimes that's kind of the first place people stop. Yes, they have.
Well, no, I don't know that.
Okay.
No, but I would
Yeah.
just sort of say, given that we have, I mean, normally, in the past, we have made contributions to things like this that are one time, but we've asked our staff here to make cuts. And I think giving the community band money now when we're in a tight budget year, in my opinion, would be a face slap to our village employees.
Other thoughts on allocating money to the community band? Chris?
I just think it's an opportunity for them to highlight themselves throughout the community with what they do, but also to fundraise for it. I know that we have Waunakee that we are supportive of, but that's an all year round request for funds that are donation funds to try to make it so there's no village dollars that go into it. So I agree with Sam. I don't know if the village employees will feel like they got slapped, but maybe not very good. Just might leave a little sour taste in their mouths a little bit. So
Joe, Aaron?
I'll hop on here. While I appreciate the community band, I would sort of have that same sentiment that I don't know that this is the budget that is really a good place to be doing that. I would follow that up with a request to staff to give us a sort of condensed version of where tax dollars are going to our local organizations, if we can. I know it's all in there, but put it in a more consumable format would be great.
Aaron?
Yeah, I agree that the funding is ongoing. I don't know if that's the best use of our funds, especially in the year that we've asked the departments to really keep their numbers as close as possible to last year's numbers. I also would like to see from the band if we are going to partner in a new way, maybe to know more about what they've done or what kind of campaigns there are. When we've had similar presentations, they have been, presentations with a lot more context. I think like Create Waunakee and their funding partnership we have, same with Schumacher last year in the new building. So just to kind of know where that'll fit in ongoing so that we can help grow and champion these organizations instead of kind of this situation. But
Thanks, Aaron. Nyla?
I can see all the points of view. I appreciate the community band, but I also know that we're trying to cut our budget a little bit. And I think we need to prepare ourselves for a different type of economy where things are going to get tighter and we need to plan ahead and think about that. So this is probably not the correct budget year to provide that.
All right. All right, I'll reach out to the letter writer and talk to them about how we've applied in the past to the community foundation and see if I can help them in some way. Because it doesn't seem like we've got the broad support to put it in the budget for this year. But if we can offer them support in another way and helping them find ways to raise the money, I feel like that would be fair. So
We also have Create Waunakee now in
mhm,
operation, and perhaps there's partnership
yeah.
there for funding support. As a reminder, I mean, you have until the conclusion of your meeting in 2 weeks
Yeah.
to make your final decision. So I think it's also fair to let, I'll follow up because they wrote to me as well with the director, and I think a call from you is good too, just to suggest that they watch your meeting tonight to see what the questions are. We've got a public hearing in 2 weeks. They're welcome to come in person and make offer an appeal too. So, and you'll have the ability to make adjustments that evening.
All right. Thank you. And thanks for bringing it up, Jack. 'Cause I mean, it's important that we consider it. All right, other questions, and I forgot who I left off on. Chris, did I get to you yet? All right, Nyla?
I don't really have questions, but I did want to address the comment that was made during public comment pertaining to a Public Works building. I'm the chairman of Public Works. I've been on Public Works long before I was chair. I don't even know how many years. I can't count them.
I'm sorry, we can't accept comments as hard as that to say.
So as the village grows, the needs grow, with staff, equipment, etc. They are overflowing. And when you have more equipment, you have more maintenance that needs to be done. The equipment is expensive equipment. It needs to be stored. And we need to keep things up, or else if we'll be put in the position of buying new equipment sooner. I understand the idea that we can get by with what we have, but if we put it off too many years, then it's just going to cost that much more later. So I think it's a good decision that the board's making to work on a new Public Works building. Thank you.
And Joe?
At our last meeting, I had mentioned something about the fund balance and reducing that amount. Has there been any progress in that or any?
Well,
discussion?
so there's, first of all, I forgot to say where it is over the 5-year period, because I think you said you wanted at the end of 2026 for it to be lower
Yeah.
than the 27% estimated.
Yep.
It's really hard to estimate even 1 year out, but
Sure.
it goes from 27 down to about, I think, 23 out the 5 years. So, I mean, the only way to reduce that is to use more fund balance for tax relief.
Sure. Or
Um,
put less into it. Well, I suppose it's not really, it's left over.
yeah, I mean, right, I guess if we, reduced more expenses, that would do it as well. It's a tricky
Indeed.
one to get to if we don't have, I already tapped into all the one-time costs that I could find. And even if we did this community band for 3,000, that's not gonna move the needle much. So, we don't, when I say tax relief, that means using it for operating, which is, you can't do too much of, or you'll put yourself in a bind in the future.
Yeah. Can
So
you,
if
at
you
the-
had other thoughts though.
Yeah, at the next meeting, can you give more info about how we get to that 5-year point? What pieces fall into that?
Yeah, it's a pretty rough estimate, but it tries to estimate what our expenses will be but yeah, I can.
I mean, I'm assuming there's
that.
some specific items that you're thinking fit into that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've historically raised expenses in the general fund about 4% a year. So I have that going, and then there's some uses of fund balance and things. So
Yeah.
I can try and summarize that in a
That'd be great.
coherent way.
Okay, thanks.
All right. I totally get the idea that taxes go up every year, right? Part of it's inflation, you know, the village is subject to the same costs that every other household is subject to, and we can't get around those costs. You know, part of it is that, you know, some within a growing village, we do have more services that we need to provide, and the revenue is coming in, but maybe not at the pace it's growing with services. About, what was it, 2 months ago now? I sat down with Renee and Todd at their request to look at kind of what the worst case scenario for the budget. And we talked long and hard about, like, what are the strategies for minimizing any sort of tax increase, which is a conversation we have from year to year. And we have here as a board, but then there's also a lot of, you know, kind of behind the scenes conversations about it. And we had a larger increase originally that we thought we were going to have to take on than what we ended up with. And in order to get to the lower dollar amount that we're at now, it was a lot of hard work by, you know, department heads, by people within the departments that were looking at every line item they have and how can we, you know, do we need this year? Can we put it off until next year? Sometimes those strategies are not buying equipment or replacing equipment as quickly. It might be a strategy of, we know we need a new person in this department, we're understaffed, but rather than hiring them at the beginning of the year, we're going to hire them halfway through the year and kind of ease that into. They did a really great job. That we're hyper aware as a board that every time we vote for a budget that is larger than the one the year before, that we've got to be really responsible for those taxpayers who have to reach into their pockets to pay those ongoing costs. So we do very much appreciate the concerns, and even though it shakes out that we've got an increase this year, as we do most years, again, just some, you know, costs go up. To please know how hard staff is working to keep those expenses as low as possible while still maintaining this, what I think is extraordinarily, you know, amazing, you know, service level that we get here in the village. They do a great job of working well with what they've got. So thank you guys very much for all the work that goes into it. So, and if you're a taxpayer and listening, please know how responsible our village staff is when they're putting together those budgets. So any other questions or comments? Budget season. We can, after the meeting today, be happy to ask. Yeah, once we close public comment down, then it's just meeting after that. All right. So, and if you do have a question and you're online, you can always feel free to shoot us an email and we'll get you an answer as best we can. So, all right, we had no action expected on this item. Do you have the information you feel you need? Thank you. All right, next up then is discuss and take action on creation of a part-time bilingual services position utilizing the remaining funds from the bilingual community resource specialist position. And Jared, this is to you. Oh, this is to Caitlin.
Yes, I'll take this one. So the bilingual community resource specialist position that we had shared with Waunakee Neighborhood Connection is now vacant due to a resignation, which leaves some of our remaining funds in our 2025 balance from that. Every village department has used translation support while this role was in effect, and we'd like to keep that momentum going. So staff is proposing that we use the remaining balance from 2025 and the bilingual services funds proposed for 2026 in our draft budget to support a part-time position focused specifically on the translation of village documents. This position would be an hourly as needed role, and it would not require any additional funding for 2025. We have 13,600 remaining for this year, and the draft 2026 budget allocates $15,000 towards translation services. So for the role, we were doing the math on it at 25 an hour or $26.91 with FICA. That would give us around 11 hours per week. So with this being an as-needed position, we could flex that around if we needed more assistance one week or less in another, and vice versa. Having this position lets us continue making our information more accessible to our entire community. And one thing that you have probably seen in your mail in the last week was we just sent out our winter rules and regulations flyer. And right on the front page there, we had a QR code that led to the Spanish version of that. So that was super awesome to have. If you have any questions on the position or any other examples that I could provide of content that we have translated in the past, I'm happy to answer those.
All right, great. Let's go around. Let's start with you, Nyla.
I think the position has been used effectively and that we should continue with it.
Jack.
Will this be a part-time position that we're creating? And we're going to use up this $13,000 or $15,000 in the budget for that. Is that correct? Is that
Yeah,
my
that's
understanding?
correct.
Is there a way that we could contract this service out to support, support your needs?
Um,
Could
I'm-
this be a contract position as opposed to an employee?
So we were thinking about going about this in a part-time position. We have somebody in mind, but obviously we need to know if that's something that'll work out first. But that,
Can we do a contract position and contract the work out, and what would that cost?
yeah, we can certainly look into
Yeah, I
that.
can share, Jack, when prior to the arrangement with having someone on staff via WNC, who we supported the position. We were contracting out for translation services. Last time I recall that we did hour for hour time and materials translation service. I believe the going rate is around $150 an hour. So assuming that we hire someone with the skills that are going to be effective in the role, I believe we'll get more out of this investment as opposed to contracting. Unless for some reason the amount of work is less, but with that said, we're not hiring someone either with a guaranteed X number of hours per week. We know what our limit is threshold wise in terms of budget available. The only opportunity is for that number to go lower if in fact there's less requirements for that person's time.
Okay, thank you.
Sam.
No questions or concerns?
Aaron.
I'm strongly in favor of this. I think it's very important that we continue the service level we have added for those residents that speak and read Spanish. And I think especially now we're about to send out tax bills and the variety of important services. I think it's really important that we continue communicating and reaching the citizens the best way we can. And it seems very appropriate that this is the way we do it, and support the village staff in this way too, to be able to share the work they're doing with a very large part of our population.
Thanks, Aaron. Chris.
Just want to make sure I'm correct with the funds right now that we have remaining, we're going to be using, and we've already allocated the 15,000 for next year within the budget. Is that correct?
Yes,
So in essence, the funding that we were already going towards Waunakee Neighborhood Connection is just coming to this part-time person here.
that's correct.
So we're not spending any more money.
We're in fact spending less. I believe we budgeted around 30,000 for the full-blown full-year partnership as we had proposed it with WNC, which we did this year, which was 2 days a week. It's about 16 hours a week.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Joe.
So this is, to follow up what Chris was saying, this is actually a reduction in the amount of availability of this person to the village. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it.
Right. I think it's been a successful, service that we've offered so far. Will we be able, with the 11 hours, be able to cover what we need?
Yes, so the way that we had it set up before is we would have departments send in their requests for what they need translated. They would put a timeline on there of when they would need it back. And I think at 11 hours a week, that would be sufficient for the requests that we were getting in.
Okay, great. Joe.
Yeah, one more question, just to confirm, this does not, this isn't a translation that is used by like municipal court at all?
No.
Perfect.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one. Where will this position fall in the chart? Is this someone you'll be working most closely with, Caitlin?
Yes, the way that we had it set up before was that I was their supervisor, so I believe that's the same way that we would have this moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited that you can help lead this, so. I will move to approve the creation of a part-time position to provide translation support for village documents and communications.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, I cannot believe that it's before 8 o'clock and I'm asking. Before 7 o'clock. Wow. Should we-
Haven't adjusted yet since
No,
Sunday?
I haven't. Yeah,
Motion to adjourn.
all right. All right. Any
That'd be-
discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Should we just like hang out?